ready to go.
Fire away.
All right, YouTube chat room, thanks again for sticking it out through the hard times. This article I have is from the American Thinker. It is written by Michael E. Young, and it reads, "Before I was old enough to understand the political difference between the right and left, I knew that certain things didn't add up. I recall pondering how Democrats could ever win elections with the stated goal of raising taxes. Who would willingly sign up to hand over more of his money to the government? What a ridiculous sales pitch. Do they think people are idiots? Yep, the joke was clearly on me. I don't consider the individuals on the left my enemies. I think of many of them as casualties of our Democrat media complex. The real enemy of the USA is the malignant ideology of the progressive left, which has been the enemy of our form of government since day one. The first thing that must be clarified is that liberalism is no longer describes today's left in our country. At the core of liberalism is the embrace of the rights of the individual above all else, which is the purpose of the Bill of Rights and the foundation of our country's law structure. The left has abandoned liberalism, so it is oxymoronic for the left to describe its members as liberals. They are actively attacking liberalism and abandoning all the classic Democrat champions of liberalism, such as Alan Dershowitz. A more provocative term for the modern left is progressive. The term conjures up notions like new and fresh ideas and continuous improvement and fixing what is broken. Like many of the obfuscations of the left, the reality of progressivism is quite different from the notion. To summarize the progressive movement in one sentence, delegitimize and deconstruct the existing societal order with the intent of creating a new order in which progressives are the authors and can bequeath themselves permanent control. Think about the Bolsheviks. Think about Chairman Mao. They too wanted a fundamental transformation of their respective societies. Among the things that stand in the way of the left are the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, both of which are under unprecedented attack, and those pesky little formalities called elections. We see leftists actively undermining elections on two major fronts today. One is through illegal immigration to bring a new underclass of loyal voters. The other is through the Russian collusion narrative to undermine the result of the latest presidential election. The left has made it commonplace to label groups and divide them into their respective tribes. So in the spirit of the left, in the old adage, know your enemy, I will attempt to break down our modern left into categories so that when you encounter a lefty in the wild, you will be able to quickly file him into one of those following groups of misguided humanoids. Number one, the ideologues. Like Karl Marx himself, a modern ideologue might include a college professor or philosopher who is mostly disconnected from reality and facts, a chalkboard hero, if you will. These are folks with seemingly good intentions who firmly believe in the historically debunked ideologies of socialism and communism despite the evidence. At the nucleus is a patent denial of the basic human instinct to pursue self-interest. Once you get past that, everything works nicely. Example, doctors are more than happy to toil day and night for the same pay as the unemployed man. You will increasingly find ideologues in places of influence like executives in the tech industry and at social media giants. This should alarm us all. They believe that we are always one step away from singing Kumbaya alongside the crew of the Starship Enterprise. The ideologues are a sad bunch. Number two, the dependents. There's nothing like a sure thing. What better way of commanding loyalty than promising to hand out goodies? Just ask Bernie. We'll have the billionaires pay for it. It's all done under the guise of humanity, but the real effect is a class of dependents who live at the mercy of the state. They neither define their own future nor have the means to pursue any sort of American dream. Number three, one of our favorites, the snowflakes. Defined by their low info status, these young people are the product of our abusively, I'm not sure I got that right, abusively, there we go, biased education system. They shouldn't be blamed for the omissions of our corrupted educators, but they have proven to be effective carriers of the disease and should not be underestimated. The good news is that many of them will be rescued by the real world. They are misguided children. They deserve our guidance, and they deserve to hear about the actual history of our country. Eliminating this class is up to us. The virtuous, number four. Perhaps the largest and most pathetic group. We all know them and love them. Heck, most of us have family members in this group. These are the virtue signaling elitist wannabes who would define themselves as 10% left of center. They want everyone to know know how woke they are and how ready they are to pile on to the hate Trump bandwagon at dinner parties. These are the folks who can afford to signal their virtue. Their economic insulation from real problems affords them the luxury of cheerleading for policies that won't have an impact on them in their daily lives for now. But watch out. When crisis finally arrives or circumstances impact their property or their money, you can bet. You can bet. Oh man, what a trip this is to listen to, right? You can bet that their inner conservative will come out with guns blazing. The virtuous are the same windsocks that came out waving the flag after 9/11, and we were happy they joined us. But most of the time, they're caught up in the perpetual self-loathing and have bought into so many of the divisive narratives of the left. Most of the news media have stumbled into this disgraceful position. The ruling class, those who wish to author a new deal, those who wish to fundamentally transform our society, those who wish to write new rules and control the narratives. They want to be the arbitrators of what is considered hate speech. They want to disarm the population. They want to conduct raids on the suspected, to silence all voices against them. They will pursue their goals at any cost and in defiance of any laws of man that may stand in their way. They deal in misinformation and use all the historic tactics of the left. They include Democrats, Republicans, and especially unelected members of the deep state bureaucracy. In the events of human history, never has there been in the events of human history, never has there been a more destructive force than the ruling class and dictators alike. To say the U.S. Constitution and its principles are outdated ideas of old racist white guys is a perfect example of the progressive propaganda of the left. Our founding principles are timeless civil rights from the geniuses who founded our nation. We inherited the most advanced, fair, and enlightened form of government that has ever been attempted in human history. It has led to a hegemony of wealth and prosperity. It has lifted humanity and been a force for truth and liberty for 242 years. To their everlasting disgrace, the left and all of its useful idiots wish to see it burn. Wake up, America, and vote. And that was written by Michael Young over at The American Thinker. And I will bring this to you into the YouTube chat room so you can file it away and use it in the near future when handing out red pills. Back to you, She7.
Thank you very much, Choctaw Scout. And I would like you to check the Zoom chat when you have a moment. I think 412 Anon has